Hello everyone, this is Anup, and today I will be presenting one of my project which I did as part of a AI product manager specialization course by Coursera, and the project was about managing machine learning projects. So I am considering the same topic and I'm extending it, uh, and I'll be covering the human aspect or the human factor when we are executing a machine learning project. So my project is around identifying a customer defaults in the utility business by building a prediction model to identify those cases. So as part of this presentation, we will be covering up these topics where I'll give an overview of the problem statement and this series of steps or data points, or basically the human aspects that we should consider or need to consider in order to work on any machine learning project. So to start with, I'll just give you an overview what the problem statement is. So the problem statement is to reduce the financial impact for the utility business companies due to customer defaults. So a customer default, that is failure to pay utility bills, poses a significant financial and operational threat to any utility business. But the impact varies depending on several factors such as regulatory protection for the customers who are failing to pay the bills. And the customer assistance program, there are a number of different customer assistance program using which customer can make the payment, if not the full payment, but some sort of a partial payment, and the business model of the utility provider. So the customer defaults can impact in various ways to the utility businesses. So we will just see the four aspects of it. So the financial impact, where the revenue loss due to the cash inflow disruption, that's affecting the operational and the capital expenditures of the utility businesses. Increased collection costs to recover the money, the customers who are failing to make the payment on time or to a certain amount. So the utility business has to do a lot of follow up, include the agencies in order to recover the money. So it's a lot of an operational cost and overhead for the businesses. The regulatory and the legal constraints, there are certain places where the disconnection of the services cannot be done upfront for the customers. There are many states which are having the restriction for doing so because of the extreme weather condition or the circumstances of that particular place. There are certain billing regulations where the utilities must follow, the companies must follow strict customer protection laws, which makes it harder to reinforce payment on the customers. And the rate case adjustment is the scenario where the public utility commissions will allow the utilities to pass the unpaid debts directly to the other customers, sort of splitting the customer across the customer base. The credit ratings and investors' confidence over the on the business utility businesses, because the debt are increasing because customers are unable to pay. So the debt recovery challenges will be there for those utility businesses. Infrastructure and investment delays. So these utility businesses, when they make money or when they receive the money for the service which they have provided to the customer, they use that money to improve the infrastructure or to improve the services for serving uh, the customers in future in a better way, in an enhanced way. But if the cash inflow is getting impacted, then this particular aspect also gets impacted, and companies um, then fail to enhance their services or enhance or add the infrastructure or make an infrastructure investment, and the whole process gets delayed, which may impact the business of the those utility businesses. So now as we have seen the main problem statement, uh, let's let's um, let's dive in further into this. So customer defaults, as we just saw, it's a serious financial matter for the utility companies, and it has a multiple impact on the business as well as the customers. So objective here is to achieve, um, predict the probability of the customer getting defaults with the help of a machine learning model, present a possible solution, payment adjustment options before customer is defaulted. Means we identify the customer which are going to get default, and proactively we identify those customers and present them a solution or a adjustment options, or a customized plan, so that the revenue of the company doesn't get impacted fully, because here in this proactive approach business will be able to reach out to those customer and present them certain in between solutions which will reduce the overall loss, and company will be able uh, to take the impact of non-payment. But instead of having a full non-payment, company will be able to have a partial non-payment. So the problem is customer defaults impacting revenue or the cash inflow for the businesses. Task, we need SMEs in this particular sector to gain more insights, more government data in order to understand this whole problem in totality. So if this doesn't get rectified, so what will be the challenges? So the delayed identification and the customer default, if we do not have any ML model or anything in place, so when a utility company will get to know about the customer default is it's very late when the event has already occurred, and because of which, just assume a case where the customer is also not aware that they can opt for a different adjustment option, because of which again it will impact the businesses. So what are the opportunities? As I said, like building an ML model to protect, to identify those potential defaults, and we reduce the total operational cost for the utility company in either in form of not putting in money in the recovery aspect, and not taking 100% hit of non-payment rather than having a partial non-payments. So these of sort of an approach will help those companies to identify and come up with a plan. So what's the conclusion? So conclusion will be an augmented human-like intelligence to identify the potential loss for the utility business. Okay, so the task analysis is a process where we try to understand what the as is process, the process that we are following as of today, and what will be the future state or the future processes. So the current process is customer is failing to pay the due balance of the utility bill month after month. The balance due is aggregating every month, and the utility companies cannot disconnect the services due to the protected law, which we saw in the previous slides. And the customers are not aware of any payment adjustment options, or and they can't negotiate on any minimum pay amount because of not having enough information that it can be negotiated to a certain extent for a period of time, so that they can catch up with the balance due which they are having on them. And this is resulting in a loss of business, and they're losing the opportunity to invest in building something new, or making the service better. So this is the correct current process as of today, which is happening for the utility businesses. So how we can solve this current problem is by having an ML model available to us, which the business will be able to make the prediction and generate the probability score and find the possible customer defaults. which can happen in future based on the service usage of I mean service usage by the customer, or by the payment pattern that we are observing over a period of time for particular customers, and by taking help of government to the financial data, let's say a credit data, just to see an overall financial health of the customer, so that we can predict that that particular customer may get defaulted in the coming months. So once the potential defaults are identified, we approach them proactively and offer the pay adjustment aid, where instead of paying a full amount, we come up with a partial amount agreement, and on a recurring basis, we receive the partial amount for certain period of time, so that instead of having 100% loss, we can have a partial adjustment done. And after consulting with the customers, as a business, we can offer a customized plan, things like offering them a prepaid plan or a postpaid plan, so that um, company will not have to bear the complete loss, and customer will also use the services within the limit of the balances which they are having, the usual prepaid cycle, how the way it works. So the user experience, how we will be dealing with this is a user report or inputs, where the utility company needs to feed in 70% of the data for training the model, and do the labeling of and have a labels for that data, historical data, where we have identified the cases where customer was defaulted, and we take the 30% of the data for the validation set. As we do not require a real-time prediction in this particular case, so the model will run in a scheduled manner. We can have it on the cloud. We don't need a edged approach or edge devices, and we'll generate the prediction. So business will identify the customers and proactively approach via the customer support, and offer the offerings which we saw earlier, where we propose them a customized plan that is a prepaid plan over a postpaid plan. We offer the adjustment option, so that instead of bearing a full loss, we can work on a partial loss or loss over a period of time. So feedback, as we build this model, we need a continuous feedback, where we want business to evaluate the prediction against the actual defaults which we are observing once this model goes to production. We take feedback from the customer support team, that how informed they are with respect to the prediction which this model is making, and how it is helping them to engage with the customers, and how it is helping them to engage and suggest them with a customized plan or a payment adjustment. And at the same time, we take the feedback from the customers who got defaulted and was benefited by the by the services we'll be offering as part of the outcome of this model, and help them to avoid any sort of a service termination on a longer run. So model transparency, we want to have a higher degree of interpretability. That is, we should be able to explain how the model is making the prediction at any point of time. We provide the traceability, how and what data is being sourced to train the model, and the evaluation and the result which is being generated. We report the model performance in form of a key matrix, the model performance matrix, and gain the confidence of the business stakeholders. Communicating the uncertainty, is the scenarios where we convey the confidence level for making the informed decisions, where we call a particular customer as a potential default or non-default. So another human factor is the privacy consideration that we'll be considering in this model building project. is business will be using this financial information and the personal information, the PI information of the individual as part of a business process. And that is the current process without having model into picture. So the data needs to be retained and validated to read it to train and validate the model will be in-house because the business is already having this data on a month-to-month basis based on the services which they are offering to the customer. So it's already available with the business as part of a current process itself. So for building this model, we can I mean we can use this data for training the model. So in general, the policies that companies following for customer will for the customer data will remain as is, and customers will be kept informed about this PII that we are holding back and how we are using it for running the business or for business data processing policies. Now the ethical aspect. So the ethical risk of using AI is causing allocative and representational harm. There are many cases which are being identified where this information is being either misused or there are potential bias in the data that we are having. So what could be the potential bias in this particular project is if the previously collected data or basically the data that we have received from the customer over a period of time at they were wrongly labeled as default versus non-default. Some features selected for building the model may act as proxies for the sensitive attributes like race, gender, location, where basically model is considering these factors predominantly in order to mark a particular customer as a default or a non-default. Or another bias could be where the model prediction itself can go wrong due to imbalanced data that we have gathered so far for building the model. So in order to maintain this ethical aspect or the consideration, we will follow the goals of ethical AI, that's fairness, accountability, and transparency. So in terms of fairness, our solution will be used for making prediction irrespective of the biases which we just saw, gender, race, and or location. Accountability, business will be sole responsible for developing, maintaining, training, correcting the outcome of the model as it will be solely internal to the business. Business will make sure that the solution will not be used to make any decision or offering outside the use case defined by the company. And what do I mean by this is the outcome that is by default or non-default. This prediction outcome should not or will not be used for any other use case where, let's say, where we are trying to define the creditworthiness of a particular customer. So those sort of use cases will not be entertained as the outcome of this model. On aspect of transparency, the interoperability as we just inter I'm sorry interpretability is the prime factor where we should be able to provide the transparency with respect to the outcome, the source of data, and the validation data. We should be able to explain at any point of time uh, just so that we don't get into any compliance issue, and we'll be in under the right light when we are generating the outcome out of of this model. Okay, so here we cover all the different human aspect of working on machine learning project with the human factor or the human aspect in building a machine learning project. So I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Do let me know in comments if you have any questions. Thank you very much.